I mean, if Lucy Dacus wrote a book, she would also be a New York Times bestselling author, but...
It's very true. It's very true.
Oh, that reminds me. Someone said I need to follow her on Goodreads.
She just posted her like end of year wrap up. And somebody sent it to me, and it's clearly very good. But it's also so many fucking books, and it's like, here's some that I liked this year, and I'm like, this is more books than I've read over the course of several years. And it's just your favorites. Cool, great, love that.
Okay, I will be following her. She has logged over 2,000 books on Goodreads.
Shocking. And by shocking, I mean actually kind of genuinely shocking. That's a large number.
Well, if your job is playing in a band and you get to not have to drive the bus or whatever, then you could probably get a lot of reading done.
Yeah, you get a lot of reading done in the backseat of the van, I imagine.
Oh, because, okay, sorry, she's read 480. Her to-read list has 800 books on it. That's why it was showing like 2,000 books.
Okay, well that's different.
That's a normal amount for a
person who reads roughly a good amount of
my
books.
age who reads a lot. Yeah, she's currently reading Pale Fire, which is an excellent book.
Welcome to Noise Floor, a podcast about music through the lens of our favorite artists' discographies. My name is Matt Kistler.
And I'm Troy Sennett.
And we are continuing our series on the band Paramore today. Now we are at the self-titled album, which I've said it on this podcast before, that you hit a mid-career album and you name it after yourself. It's a really bold move. Kind of makes sense here. We'll get into that a little bit, but we alluded to it a bit on the last podcast. We've undergone a pretty major lineup change leading up to this album. In fact, almost well before this album, because we have already talked about songs that are from the kind of core of the band as it exists now, which is Hayley Williams, Jeremy Davis, and Taylor York. Two of them effectively original members of the band, depending on how you're looking at Taylor. Yeah, I don't know. I think that going that direction was a both a smart and bold move. Maybe a little bit of I don't want to say a fuck you, because that's not what this album is about. If you read the live journal posts, but yeah. Sorry, Troy, go ahead.
I mean, it's so cool that live journal is still up there.
Right.
And that, documenting like the entire history of the band, basically. But yeah, I mean, I agree that this is, it is kind of like it's weird to call it a mid-career reinvention, because this is a record made by people who were in their early 20s. But that's kind of the feeling that I get from it, that it's like, after sort of conquering the scene with Brand New Eyes, they were able to just kind of say like, okay, anything goes, we can do whatever we want. And this record that comes out of that is like this kind of sprawling maximalist, like, but almost like kind of relaxed album where they get to kind of sit in grooves for longer than they would in the past. They get to not play pop punk if they don't want to, or when they do, it's, it feels even more like energetic and vicious in a way. But yeah, I mean, this is a band exploring, what we can, how do we show the world that we are not just kids anymore, basically, is kind of what I think this record is about. And it's like, I don't know, the Brand New Eyes is like explicitly a new album about like new perspectives, but I think the subtext of this album is kind of the same. It's like, what do we look like when we're older and more mature and are comfortable trying things that might have, our fans might not have liked, or our record label might not have liked, or might not have either been allowed to do or allowed ourselves to do when we were younger. I think that feels like the sort of thesis of the album to me. And I think it pretty much all works.
Yeah, for sure. Hayley really kind of succinctly describes this album as being about moving on, which that first interlude is literally called that, so it kind of makes sense. But really, like, truly, a lot of these songs do feel exactly like that, like moving away from the things in your past that plague you. Like, we have, I know that in Brand New Eyes we kind of got the first Paramore love song, but we now get yet another one of those, and we've kind of moved past the idea of like caring about the fact that we haven't written it. I don't know. Like, it feels like there's a little bit of that in every one of these songs. Is just kind of what does it look like to move on in both, the good and the bad facets of it? Because, there are songs on this record about what is it like to be alone, but maybe not necessarily lonely. There are songs that, somewhat similar to some songs on Brand New Eyes talk about, like, hey man, you gotta grow up. It turns out that's the song Grow Up. Wild. But yeah, I think this album, which I should be upfront about this, I guess, did not land with me in 2013. I don't know why. Like, I think it kind of came out and I heard a couple songs and I was like, this is not for me. Wild to think now, because this may now be one of my favorite Paramore albums. But like, I didn't really try to relitigate it until around the time after Laughter came out, at which point I was like, oh no, this was good the whole time. I just was wrong. That's sad for me, because I missed out on a whole lot of probably really fun Paramore shows between 2013 and 2018. But yeah, I don't know. I think that this like step in their kind of evolution as a band is ultimately a very, very positive one. And I know that I, as a person, have strayed away from being the type of person who fears change in bands that I love. But I really do think that, it can go wrong. Like, you can try things and they cannot work. And I think 99% of this album totally works.
Yeah, I think your kind of experience of this album when it came out, of being a Paramore fan, and maybe it was just a little bit too different, or you weren't like the pop fan that you are now yet, and so like the pop elements of it didn't quite appeal to you in the way that they do now. Like, that feels like a common the kind of thread, or like it makes sense that that's the reaction that like people would have to this record. It feels like not a black sheep, because it's like has their like literally their highest charting singles on it, I think. But like, it is it's easy for it to feel like this sort of in between figuring ourselves out album. But at the same time, I think it's an extremely confident album, because yeah, they're able to say like, okay, we actually really believe in 17 of these songs enough to put them all on the record. Like, this could have been a 10-song record with a great collection of B-sides, but I think they largely make the right choices in saying like, this, all these songs are worthy of putting on the record. I mean, it feels kind of like 90s in that way, where the albums were a little bit longer, or I guess like kind of current streaming era albums where they're just long to get all the streams, although this kind of predates that. But like, there's not much I would cut here. And I think as we kind of go through the album, I might propose a couple of songs that are, I think, the lesser songs, but they're not like that much lesser than the album as a whole. Like, I think they're playing at a pretty high level this entire time.
Yeah, I really think your point of like, this album sounds confident is really like key to its success in a lot of ways. Like, it given the band's history and like how in many ways this is very sonically different from all of that. Like, clearly they are trying things, but it doesn't sound like they're trying things. It sounds like they've figured things out.
Yeah, and I think that the working with a new producer, I mean, I think they kind of work with a new producer every record, but it feels like they went from a couple of like kind of modern rock guys, or pop punk guys, to Justin Meldal Johnson on this album, who is known at this point largely as the bass player for Beck and Nine Inch Nails, and but had produced M83's Hurry Up We're Dreaming, which is like kind of a revolutionary sounding pop record, I think. And this is like fairly early in his career as like producing full albums. He had done songs here and there and stuff like that, but his is kind of early on in him deciding he wants to be a producer. And I mean, this album is like just a rousing success from a production standpoint. I think it sounds amazing. I mean, no small part because Ken Andrews mixed it, and he is I think one of the best mix engineers out there. And both of these guys would go on to work with Jimmy Eat World quite a bit in the future. And then I guess we should also cite that because Zach Farrow is not in the band at this point, Elon Rubin from Angels and Airwaves played drums on it. Great drumming on this album.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as we get into the songs, I'm sure we'll just say many times, like the playing is unreal on this record. It is again just another huge level up from Brand New Eyes.
Yeah, for sure. I think that like the drumming is definitely different from what we would have gotten on a Paramore album that does have Zach. Like backing up real quick, Zach, real talented drummer. I'm glad he's back in the band. But it is, I really don't think we would have quite gotten the same album had he, survived all of the turmoil that led up to this. And like, I don't think it would have been bad. I think it would have just been different in a lot of ways.
All right, should we just jump into the songs? Because there's a lot of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of them, so let's do it.
All right, so this kicks off with Fast in My Car, which is a pretty rousing introductory song for this record. It is just like, it's got this really cool guitar lick to start it off, and it basically sets the scene for the entire record. It's yet another a song about the band, I think, which is just such a common topic of Hayley Williams' writing for the last these last like basically like 3 albums. But I don't know, it is a like kind of a we are past the turmoil and we are united and we're ready to just be a really fun band again sort of song, I think. I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I mean that is exactly what it is. It is a song about ceasing to live in the shadow of what has come before. And like I think, even up till recently, I kind of didn't love the chorus of this song. I have since turned around on it. Just kind of getting settled into the context of it a lot more. Like yeah, driving fast in your car is a great metaphor for escaping your past. But like also acknowledging it at the same time, which is what is different from just running away from it. I do the opening and like just the general bass line on this song are gnarly in a really great way. I feel like the bass really gets to shine on this record in a way that it maybe hasn't through a whole record before now, which is really cool.
Yeah, I think, there's just a lot of space for bass on this record. I think that is inherent in the way that Taylor writes guitar parts, as opposed to the way, because we say like every song on this record or almost every song on this record is credited to Hayley and Taylor York. Whereas in the past it was Hayley and Josh Farrow who were kind of the main writing pair. But I think Taylor's guitar playing and writing style it leaves a lot of open space for bass and drums to shine. It's a little more influenced by like funk and soul and R&B sort of. Really you get that stuff on Ain't It Fun, but like I don't know. You're right. Bass it gets to be very prominent on this album. Which, and producer is a bassist, which I'm sure helps. But yeah, that's all over this song. Then after that is Now, which was the first single for the album, kind of the introduction to this era of the band. This is kind of, I feel like, the closest they get to that like modern rock thing that they would do on. We talked a little bit about this on the Twilight songs, which is like a style of Paramore that I don't love, but this chorus is catchy enough that I kind of stick with it. I think it's I don't know that I love it as a lead single, which maybe is why I didn't like vibe with this album. I didn't even say this. I also kind of didn't vibe with this album right away. It took hearing some of the deeper cuts on it for me to get into it. But now I like it quite a lot. But yeah, that was kind of, I wonder if Now kind of contributed to that.
Yeah, that's interesting because I don't think I heard Now when it was released as a single. I must have just completely missed that because I feel like I would have loved this in 2013.
Okay.
Because it sounds to me like not in the vocal stylings necessarily, but mostly in like the kind of guitar riff and how the bass, kind of interweaves with it. It sounds a lot like a Metric song to me, and I was super into Metric back in 2013. And still am, to be clear. Just that was around the time where I was getting super into them. But yeah, I don't know. I like this song a lot. I dig a really high energy single. But yeah, I don't know. It's I had no idea until just when we were, looking into doing this episode that this was the first single. Which I think is kind of neat in a way. I always assumed it was Still Into You, but it is not.
Yeah, I don't know if this was like there's like a music video and stuff, so I don't know if it wasn't like a soft release single or what. I mean, they announced the album and the single at the same time. I think it wasn't one of those like here's a single and then later on here's the real single. Like
yeah,
the bands do these days.
Yeah, a lot of people do. But yeah, no, it was definitely hard launch because I was reading the LiveJournal posts because I was mostly just impressed that LiveJournal is still mostly intact. Good job, everybody over there. But like, yeah, Haley was like, yeah, we're in Australia right now. Like, we've been playing some of the new songs. We just released Now last week, our first single. And I was like, damn, I don't remember this happening at all. But who knows? Who knows what was happening in 2013?
Personally, I wasn't having a great time at this time, and maybe that's also why I didn't maybe connect to this record right away.
Sure.
No
in
more
many ways, this album
that.
is about having a good time on the other side of bad times.
Right. That's I'm just now thinking about that connection. It's like, yeah, I don't think I was focusing on or as excited about new Paramore that is about being happy at at that moment in my life. But maybe I just needed to grow up.
Nice.
Yeah, segue. But yeah, next up is Grow Up. This is where I feel like the album really gets to open up, and they start songs like a little funkier, a little groovier. And it's got this, like, I don't know, it's got the classic kind of Paramore swagger to it. And it's a defiant, really fun song.
Yeah, it rules. Like, literally all my notes are just how great parts of the song are, including but not limited to the lyrics, which are in fact what they say on the tin, which I always appreciate. Because Grow Up is a song about how sometimes you gotta grow up. Some of us do, at least, you might say. But one thing I particularly love about this song is the synths that are incorporated into the bridge, and then also like very prominent at the end. Yeah, it's just a really well put together song that, like, yeah, I think you're right. Like, it's different, but still has that kind of Paramore sauce that is hard to describe.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know, it's catchy enough that like it could have been a single. There's 7 other songs on the album that could have been. I am too, actually. It's hard to argue with the singles they went with ultimately, because it leads up to Ain't It Fun, which is just a huge mega hit. But
right,
I don't know. Listening back to it this week, I was just like, yeah, that song they could have easily pushed that as a single, and I would have totally taken it. But yeah, then the next song was in fact a single. I think the second or third single. I guess the third single from the album, "Daydreaming," which is the song Lisa and I were talking about this today. This song just will get in your head and stay there for hours, days, maybe weeks at a time. It's so absurdly catchy, and it's just, again, another one of those like songs about trying to get somewhere that you're not, but like there's an optimism to it that is, I think, pretty great.
Yeah, this one's just insanely catchy. I feel like we're backing off the intensity a little bit on this one, like early on, but then that chorus just really like comes at you like a train. And then there's like that really like cool noisy part in the bridge that I really like. But yeah, that chorus has been on and off in my head for a very long time at this point. Yeah, it just rules. This is a great song. I'm trying to remember which video this was because I just watched them all in succession today.
So did I. This is the one it's largely live performance in London, and there's like a sort of a story of like two people flying across the the Atlantic to see Paramore, and they like sneak backstage and meet the band. Like that's the sort of story of it.
Yeah,
fairly straightforward music video.
Compared to the other ones, I would say, yeah.
Yeah, not the insane high concept of Ain't It Fun. After that is the first of the 3 interlude songs on the album, which are, I think, kind of a pretty cool thing they did with this record, where they interspersed these ukulele acoustic songs throughout the album that are these just kind of short, like, little bursts of... They're, like, energetic songs, mostly. I don't know. I don't know how to describe these other than that they're, like... they are just a delight every single time. These are pretty much the highlights of the album for me. Not because I think they're like the best songs, because they're the most fun decision they made on the album, I think.
Yeah. I think including them was it's a really interesting choice. So it sounds like I'm about to rag on them. I'm not. They rule. But they do sound so different from everything else on the album, and admittedly from Haley, like they are the only songs on the album that are actually about the like falling out of the band. The only ones that are explicitly about that, according to her. Artistic intent is whatever. But these are the ones where she's like, oh yeah, no, I said full songs. I wasn't counting the interlude when I said none of them were about the band. But yeah, I don't know. I do find it fun that doing the just ukulele and vocals was a inspired by Hello Goodbye thing. I did not know that at all until literally earlier today.
Yeah, I guess this is right around the time of what's the great Hello Goodbye record? Oh my god.
I am not
Would It Kill You?
Yes,
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Would It Kill You comes out in 2010, and so that's it makes sense that was an inspiration. That album.
I mean, this is also kind of the height of like person with a ukulele doing
I guess
songs.
Never Shout Never. I guess Never Shout Never is in this era too. He feels like a little bit earlier to me.
Well, for context, like the reason that I think about this era as being this era is I remember I played a show with my friend Christian at the Whistler. And it was Us, which was like kind of a like experimental folk-ish duo, and the person who headlined was just a woman who played ukulele and sang in French. And that was like the most quintessential indie show I could have thought of at that point in time. And this was like maybe a year before this album came out.
That sounds like a college show.
But yeah, I don't know. I love these interludes, and I think kind of it's cool that they like kind of got extracted into their own release ? I don't know if it counts.
Hibiscus shaped record.
Yep, that costs several $100s on Discogs if one is on sale.
Yeah. After that, we get into the second sort of section of the record, which starts off with Ain't It Fun, the like bona fide mega hit, kind of a funk, soul, gospel sort of influenced song, with just unreal bass playing. I think my initial note on this was my eyes just like bug out of my head every time I hear the rhythm section in this song. It's so good.
It's so good. Like frankly, everything about this song is good. This is as close to a perfect song as I can imagine. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with that one. Like every single thing that goes, and there's a lot crammed into this thing. Like every time I listen to it, there's some new layer I discover. But frankly, I think that this song should have been what started me on my, well, yeah, the best Paramore songs are the ones that have marimba on them. Like, duh.
Yeah.
Train that I am currently on.
I liked the tidbit that like this is Taylor was writing this riff for something that was not Paramore. It just was, he didn't see it as a something that would fit with what they were working on, and yet it feels so of a piece with this album. I don't know if when they wrote it in the sort of timeline of working on these songs, if other some of the other like funkier stuff came up around, or was inspired by creating this song. But yeah, it's a great sort of centerpiece, and yeah, I think rightfully was a huge hit, and like is kind of the band's legacy at this point, I think, or at least the second half of their career.
Yeah, for sure. And like it just kind of like seeing the kind of like behind the scenes that they posted, around when this album was released, of just like them having, 15 people around an array of microphones doing the gospel part. Like that's so cool. And then like just them in the booth freaking out over the guy who's soloing during that part. Just like every time he hits a like super like tasty note, just like somebody in the booth is going, ah!
Oh yeah, it's like awesome.
That. It's so good. And rightfully so. That dude's got an incredible voice.
I wish that there were more of the session videos for this album. Like we've got the whole documentary basically about Riot, and really like the in-depth one about the making of Brand New Eyes. Like I miss I want an hour long, DVD extra or whatever about the making of every album. What they posted online for this one, video wise, was not enough.
No, it was like literally 4 minutes of material at most, which is a real bummer because I know there's more. Do we want to talk about the remixes briefly? They're not very good.
I mean, yeah, they put out an EP of remixes, which range from one is like just a radio edit, but the remixes, I think, range from like barely remixed, just changing the feel of the song a little bit, to a big synthesizer DJ thing. I don't know. You're better with remixes than I am. I don't really like any of these.
No, it's fine. None of these are really that good.
Next up on the album is Part 2, which is explicitly a sequel to Let the Flames Begin, from Riot. And it's one of the few, like, I think kind of explicitly backwards looking songs on the album. I think it's a very like forward looking record. But I think this is something that, I don't know, not a ton of bands do, is like engaging with a specific song from their past in more than just a reference way, and more kind of like reevaluating what that song meant, and what those sentiments mean to like 5-10 years later.
Yeah. And I know in an interview, I think it was on their like cruise thing that they did a little while ago, Taylor mentioned that like this was inspired by the fact that Me Without You does this, follows up songs with kind of part twos, and they were like, yeah, like it's interesting to like be able to look back at a song and examine it in that way, but also like it's kind of a nice little thing for like the fans who care about that song, to kind of see what comes out of like going back like that, and kind of going, all right, well, like what does happen next year. And what happens next year turns out a song that is on par with, if not maybe a little bit better than Let the Flames Begin. Like it kind of borrows some melodic notes from I'm going to say the original song, because I don't want to keep saying Let the Flames Begin, because I'm going to stumble over it at least once. But like borrows some melodic bits, borrows some like, lyrical material. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's really cool. I think this works out very well. And I think even if you don't like know going in that like, or sorry, don't go in knowing what this is a part 2 of, like it's still a very enjoyable song that if you've kind of been on the train for a while, like you might go, huh, this sounds kind of familiar. And then you might like end up back at Let the Flames Begin. And I think that's just kind of neat. Yeah,
I agree. A good like project to be part, a good like element of this project of an album, what I keep thinking of as a reinvention album.
Yeah.
Next up is Last Hope, which is a song that I think Haley described as like the sort of the ideal Paramore song, or the perfect, she calls it the perfect first Paramore song if you've never heard the band before. I don't know if I agree with that. I think this is a very good song.
I'm not sure about that one. I like the song a lot, yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's has a slow builds in a way that not a lot of their songs do. I feel like this is maybe it's one of those things where like uh they felt like they nailed like here's a slightly different side of us that we can show the world, but like I don't think it's I don't think it's emblematic of everything that Paramore is up to this point, but I think it's a great song. I don't know, but do you agree with that?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like it is a great song. If somebody said, "Hey man, I've never listened to Paramore before, what would you recommend?" This would maybe not even be on the list of 10 songs.
I agree.
But it rules. That chorus is so good. And then you kind of already made the point of like how it's a slow build. It's one of those slow builds where you like almost don't realize it's happening until you arrive at the chorus, and it's 1.5, 2 times bigger than the last time we hit it. And like that kind of subtlety is underrated, for sure. Also the line, and the salt in my wounds isn't burning any more than it used to that's rough. But, and then like, yeah, that whole part, like that is like kind of a bridge-y type thing, leading into the Gotta Let It Happen with, just kind of the piano and the toms. It's just great. Like, yeah, there's so much going on here that's wonderful, but it's not the like archetypical Paramore song, I don't think.
Yeah, I think you are right on with that. Next is Still Into You. This was kind of the other big single from this record, along with Ain't It Fun. The other kind of, or sort of after The Only Exception, the next kind of like big, unabashed Paramore love song. I really like this song. I think it is it's very fun, very catchy. I can see how you could read it as just too saccharine and too sweet, and I can see how that would be off-putting. I don't know. Do you like this one?
I love this one.
Okay, it's kind of what I thought.
Yeah, no. This is this is like maybe. Ain't It Fun is the song I think of when I think of this album, but this is the second one, and like it's a single, it's a huge single. I know that kind of makes sense. I really like. I think in a lot of ways this is like a very like well put together love song though, because like it does kind of make mention of like, listen, like we have stuff going on in our lives and it's not always good, but we still love each other, and like that how we work through the problems that we have is what's actually important. And I know in hindsight that this relationship didn't work out, but I'm not letting that take away from this.
Yeah, that's always the thing with looking back at some of these songs.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know, like I really this song is super catchy. Also notable, I really want the shirt that Haley is wearing in the video for this song that just says dweeb.
Dweeb.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's great. The other thing about this song that I think is really cool, and it happens a lot in this record, but the way that the synths are just like another bubbling texture under the chorus, and I feel like every song has like interesting different synth textures to it. It adds a lot to the arrangements on this album.
It really does. Like, and that's one of those things that like you don't have to notice to appreciate this song, but like when you go and listen to it on good headphones or a good sound system, like it really comes through and really adds a lot. Also fun fact that I learned recently, there is in fact a favorite song that specifically Haley was talking about, and it is Birdhouse in Your Soul by They Might Be Giants.
Okay. I don't know that song, but I like They Might Be Giants a lot. After that is Ankle Biters. This is a absolute jam. This is the deep cut. I guess it became a single later, but this is the deep cut on the album that I remember convinced me that they still had it. That I was like, oh, Paramore can still, like, even if I didn't love a couple of the singles or whatever, like, this is the one that was like, oh, they're still doing the pop punk thing and they're still really good at it. Obviously I love this record a lot more than I did in 2013, but the song is just pure energy.
Yeah, for sure. My big note on this song is in case that last one was too poppy for you. Cause yeah, this song's just a ripper. It's got feedback. It's got gang vocals. It's got a little bit of banter at the end of the song. It's got a stick click. Like, what more could you want out of a punk song?
Yeah, I like your idea of it being sort of in opposition to the poppier stuff that's come before it. That it's like basically exactly how I responded to it. As like we've still got you, don't worry. It's sort of song for the fans. And then that's sort of the end of that chunk of the record. Next up is the second interlude, Holiday, which is what I always think of the top ramen song for some reason. Whenever I think about ramen, I hear that in that phrase in Hayley Williams' voice. But I don't know, not a ton to say about the second acoustic interlude. It's just another really nice moment on the album.
Totally. Yeah. My only note was, remember how we talked about how Paramore was kind of like a high school band in most senses of the term on old episodes? This song's about that. And they don't want to do that anymore.
No more high school drama. Then next up is Proof. This section of the album, I think, is this is kind of the place where they let themselves they let themselves explore sort of the most in this chunk of 3 songs coming up. I don't remember having any feelings about this song when the album came out, and it really jumped out at me this week as like a maybe if not my favorite, but like a top 3 or 4 songs on this album. That the end of that chorus, the only proof that I need is you line, just that melody rules. I don't know, this one really landed for me.
Yeah, I like the song a lot. I think it rates a little lower for me, just, on the spectrum of songs on this album, which is to say it's still really, really good. I guess this was the first song written for the album, and one of like the only songs that they've written where the lyrics and the melody came before the instruments and whatnot, which was an interesting tidbit. Which I think you can, if you have that context, you can kind of hear it in the song, but like it's still really, well put together and sounds like a Paramore song in a lot of ways. But yeah, I don't know. It's a nice song, and yeah, I think to your point, like I like that this section is kind of branching out even a little bit more than they had prior to this section of the album.
Yeah, because from this one, then you go on to Hate to See Your Heart Break, which is like bordering on not quite country, because they do that on other, in other, well, I guess later on a little bit, but not on this album as much. But it's right. It's the true ballad of the album, and it's, I don't know, it's this very like I don't know, just kind of pensive, reflective song, very unlike anything else they do on this record. I don't know, does this one works for you too?
Yeah, I really like this one. I don't know if I ever actually listened to the version of this song without Joy Williams on it, because for some reason the version of the like non-deluxe edition album on Tidal just has that version of this song in there, or at least it claims it does. I should have done like an A/B, but it sounded like she was on that version because I heard a different person singing on that song.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this song is great. That chorus melody is just incredible. It weirdly familiar. I couldn't quite place where I'd heard like the specific like melisma of notes that's on the "and I" at the beginning of it. But it's just really, really nice, really comforting. Also, the line, love happens all the time to people who aren't kind, is a real big gut punch for me. Not even just for me, just in general.
That's the kind of a classic Hayley Williams line.
Totally.
It's a song about kind of about disillusionment, and I think that's totally in line with a lot of other Paramore songs that are not, still into you.
Right. Yeah, totally. Also the strings on the song are great. I know that they're like maybe overwrought in a way, but like I love that. Totally fits.
Yeah. The string stuff that they're recording in the video is from One of Those Crazy Girls, right?
I believe so, yes.
I think so, yeah. Which we can jump to right now. A really spectacular song. Like maybe the standout of the back half, along with Proof for me. It's kind of Haley is talks specifically how it's not an autobiographical song in any way. It's like she was actually quite happy when she wrote this kind of crazy breakup song. It's silly and but I don't know, it's got the right like energy to it to keep the back half of the album moving, I think.
Yeah, I really love that it starts off as like kind of a, sorry to invoke the name of Phil Spector, but I have to because he's kind of intrinsically tied to this whole scene, but like a Phil Spector produced like girl group kind of vibe going on at the beginning, and then takes this sudden turn into, being a little more in line with like what Paramore, I guess, quote unquote, normally does, but still like maintains some of the like the aspects of that genre that people are going to be most familiar with, namely like the vocal harmonies. You get the kind of girl group vocals in the background, so that we're still tying back to that. And then, we have a kick-ass guitar solo, and then we kind of go back to that vibe from the beginning at the end. I think this song is really great, and like a cool has a cool connection to like kind of the history of women in popular music, because like I say girl group, and like it feels weird to say that, but like that is the genre name, which is insane in retrospect. Why did we do that? Oh, right, because it was the 60s and things were not great for women back then. It turns out.
I think that like that connection is like spot on and makes me like the song even more, as like here we're doing something a little different than Paramore typically does, and we're specifically incorporating this kind of genre that feels like it's I don't know about lost, but definitely not cited that much even in like retro leaning music.
Yeah, which is wild because it's got such a like distinct sound, and it's so lush and cool in a lot of ways. And it is tied to Phil Spector, who's a piece of shit.
A piece of shit who's also like the most important record producer of the 20th century, arguably. Yeah,
unfortunately, yeah. But like I do to kind of come back to it, like I think it is cool that like this is the song that gets this treatment, because like I mentioned, maybe things weren't so great for women back in the 60s, and it turns out they're still not great now, or back in 2013 for that matter, because like we have this story about like how like Haley specifically talks about like pretty much anybody could relate to this song, like regardless of gender, and it's like but the song is called One of Those Crazy Girls. Oh, right, because that's how people look at it when it's a woman versus another type of person. Right. Yep. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah.
Sexism. It's a thing that plagues everybody.
Two thumbs down.
Yep.
After that is the last of the 3 ukulele interludes, I'm Not Angry Anymore, which is basically what it says right in the title. It's this is kind of the last of these this trio of songs about moving on.
I do love the backpedaling that happens in this song, going from being called I'm Not Angry Anymore to being I'm not totally angry. I'm not all that angry anymore. It's great. It's so good.
Yeah, because it's, I guess it's one of those like that emotion's always going to be there, even if you've done a lot of work to get past it.
Totally.
And then we're into the final the tail end of the record with Be Alone. This song has like a titanic hook to the point. It's the only hook on the album that almost feels like it grates on me after a while. If you had to like force me to cut a song from the record, it might be this one.
Okay.
Even though that is very catchy chorus. But I don't know. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think I feel fairly similar. I don't know that I would go so far as to say that if I had to cut a song, I would cut this one. But then again, I don't know what I would. So maybe this is as good of one as any. But yeah, I don't know. I think kind of the conceit of the song being about like these periods of time where you get to enjoy being alone. Haley talks about like how part of the inspiration for this song was like being on long flights in the days before like in-flight Wi-Fi and stuff. She specifically says one of the things that you can do on this type of flight is attempt to listen to all of the albums on your iPod, which I just think is beautiful.
I did that on a church trip once. I was like, I'm going to listen to every single song on my iPod. It didn't happen, but
well, yeah, that probably was a lot of songs. Well, depending on what era that iPod was from, that could have been a ton of songs or not very many.
It was a ton of songs.
That's not shocking. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's cool. The guitars in the chorus are so huge, and like I think it's really cool. But yeah, I could see where this would like kind of fall into maybe a lower tier of songs on this very good album.
Yeah. And then to close it out, there's Future, which is kind of obviously a counterpart to Now. This very like forward-looking song that is mostly an acoustic or primarily acoustic, kind of quiet, almost whispered song that then builds into this crazy like 5-minute instrumental like almost like post-rock metal thing going on. There's this really cool fade out and fade in. There's not really another song in the Paramore catalog that sounds like this one.
No, not at all. Especially not with that you know what? Yeah, just in general, because like this, yeah, the first third, I guess, of this song is just like so subdued. Like there's some production stuff on this that like doesn't really happen. Like the guitar strings are super audible on this song, which is some of my favorite stuff. Especially in a like, I love when a song is quiet and they make that incredibly apparent that it is, you know, meant to come across that way. Like when you can hear somebody strumming guitar strings, you know, over the actual like sound of the resonance of the guitar or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I think this song kind of rules in that way. The thing that they do, I've said this in a couple of places, but like the weird fade out and then fade back in thing that they do that I assume is a riff on the thing that they did in Helter Skelter. I mean the Beatles. You know, the people who wrote that song. And I that's a little weird to me, but it is an interesting way to kind of like break up that post-rocky thing that I think I called it a what did I call it here? Oh, a big fucking Russian Circles extended outro. Probably closer to Pelican than Russian Circles now that I'm thinking about it, but either way, it's cool. Like this is a big standout. I like it a lot. And I even liked the fact that the outro is the way it is more the, you know, last couple of times I listened to it compared to the first few.
Yeah, and I think like it works for me more as a like capstone to the record than as like a song in and of itself. I think it is here to you know, serve more to serve like the like how do we close out the statement we're making with this record. I think it was more of that type of closing track than like this is a great song closing track. Although I think it is still a very good song. Yeah.
Again, not on a short list of songs I would show people to say this is what Paramore sounds like, but still very good.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that's the record. Any like kind of wrap up thoughts on the album before we maybe talk about a couple of the bonus tracks?
No, I was just wrong about pop music in like 2012 and 2013. That's just that's just how my life was, and I've accepted that. Yeah, I've talked about that already on this podcast, so I don't need to belabor it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's now that I feel like with a little, I'm a little bit older, have a little better perspective on the songs, and I think this album is a I mean, certainly essential listening for Paramore fans, and I think there's a lot for just about anyone to find that they like on the album. I think it's largely successful.
Yeah, I can't imagine anybody going in and not finding something they like here. Like, there's 17 songs. There's got to be something.
Yeah, and there's a deluxe edition with a few bonus tracks. We've already talked a little bit about the alternate version of Hate to See Your Heart Break, the Ain't It Fun remixes. There's also Native Tongue, Escape Route, and Tell Me It's Okay. I think all these 3 songs are good. None of them are bad, but none of them are like, oh, this needed to be on the record. I really like Tell Me I'm Okay, but that is like the least fitting of this era of Paramore, of like anything they made for this album.
Yeah, I do think it thematically fits, and I honestly think with a little bit, like, that version is a demo as far as I know. I do think with a little bit of whatever oomph they were giving the rest of the album in the studio, that it could have fit. Like, kind of, it kind of, at least part of the song hovers around this theme of like kind of relitigating your past life as a person who maybe, romanticizes sadness a little bit. This is the thing that a lot of like emo and emo adjacent bands run into, is like, is this good? Is this a good thing that I'm doing? Like Haley puts it, I wasted my teenage years being a misery factory, which is a way of putting it.
Pointed reference to
to a song that they were not playing at this point. But yeah, I don't know. I would love to hear a like fully fleshed out version of this song, but again, I don't know where I'd put it on the album, and I don't know what I would replace with it. So I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it being out there and just, being in an accessible form.
Yeah, agreed. And you have any other bonus track stuff you want to hit?
Not really. Yeah, the other 2 songs, Native Tongue and Escape Route, both have like cool bits about them. But aren't quite up to snuff with what ended up making the album. So it's cool that they're out there, but I probably won't listen to them a ton beyond listening to them for this.
Yeah. Cool. That's basically the Paramore self-titled era. Before we go, I think we're in agreement on our random recs this week that we're going to talk a little bit about David Lynch, who passed away last week as of this recording. Just a singular, basically untouchable, inimitable artist. I don't know. You go first. What do you want to cite from the David Lynch oeuvre?
I mean, I kind of waffled between a couple of options. But I think I'm gonna settle on. I watched Eraserhead for the first time shortly after hearing about the passing of David Lynch. I embarrassingly have large holes in his filmography that I haven't seen. But as a person who loves Twin Peaks, that's obviously a lot of material, including The Return. But yeah, it's a film from 1977. It's black and white. Has in many ways fairly minimal dialogue. And is just this like beautiful is a weird way of putting it, but like kind of beautiful like examination of David Lynch's anxiety around having a child and like understanding like what all comes with that. And also there's a lady in the radiator. That's fun. Yeah, no, I wasn't sure, how this would land with me. But boy, did my paternal instincts kick into high gear when that baby thing cried, which was not a feeling I expected to have during that film. But like, I think it really does early on in his career. Like that was his first like full-length film. It really kind of encapsulates what David Lynch is best at, which is examining like not so much like making a piece of art that has, a beginning, a middle, and an end that has like a coherent plot or whatever, but like examining the ways in which we experience things, and obviously specifically the ways in which he experiences things, which is different from the rest of us, but truly beautiful in so many ways. But yeah, I would highly recommend going and watching Eraserhead if you haven't, or watching it again if you have.
Yeah, I know that like the like I'm a parent and that's how I experience art is like the most boring thing to talk about for most people, especially non-parents. But this is the best movie ever made about being a parent. It is so it so captures the like every anxiety and every just fucked up internal feeling that you could have about like having a child. There's a really good, I have to find it. There's plenty of writing about this, but just a review on a specific review on Letterboxd that I read of someone talking about like, I saw this movie when I was like a weirdo like teenager and didn't, it was messed up, but I didn't really get it. And then I saw it in college when I knew a lot more about filmmaking or whatever. And then I saw it as a parent, and it's like completely changed my perspective on it. So there's a lot of like writing you can find about that. Eraserhead rules. I really, really like it.
But what do you got?
I'm going to recommend, on the totally opposite end of David Lynch's filmography, The Straight Story, which is both his most like normal movie, or because it's his most normal movie, it is therefore the most like weird and messed up thing he ever made. It is based on a true story Disney movie, rated G, about a man who drives his lawnmower across multiple states in order to visit his dying brother. It's just the most humane, beautiful movie about small Midwestern towns and the people that live in them, and the bonds of family that that persevere through all kinds of distance and time and betrayal, and it's I think it's just an absolutely phenomenal movie that I watched for the first time last year and should probably watch again soon.
Yeah, I have not seen that one yet, but that's beautiful, and I think I'm probably going to love it.
Yeah, I think so too. You've lived in smallish Midwestern towns. You'll find a lot to like about this.
For sure. I think I remember when that movie like hit theaters, and I did not realize it was a David Lynch movie. Because I just wasn't as in it as I am now. But also, like, the implied thing is, if you haven't watched Twin Peaks, go watch Twin Peaks. Just watch
Twin Peaks
of
is
it.
amazing.
Twin Peaks is amazing.
All
right.
Cool. Yeah, so we will be back next week talking about Paramore's fifth album, After Laughter, which is, spoiler alert, awesome.
It's so good. It's so good that it made me come back to this album.
Yeah. All right. See you next week.
See you next week.